What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Bit of a live transfer talk here for you, and we're going to be talking about Onana. We are going to be looking at an Mbuemo alternative in case we don't manage to get Mbuemo over the line, or he chooses to go to Newcastle, which, you know, let's be honest, is at least certainly a little bit likely. And we can just have a chat if you want. I was going to do a late night live last night, and then I ended up watching Mobland, and by the time it finished, I couldn't be asked. How's that sound? So, what's going on? Kamikaze says, Onana not bad. Lol, dude. Was protected by good defence everywhere he played before United. Inter team made him look better than he actually was. See, let's talk about this. On Onana, he's been poor this year, right? And that's it. There's no but in this year. He's been poor this year. Full stop. However, last year, he did have literally the highest save percentage in the league. I can concede he was a bit of a drama in the Champions League last year. But from a shot-stopping point of view, he was statistically the best shot-stopper in the Premier League last season. You can't argue with that. Now, what the annoyance, for me at least, here is, we all watched the Champions League final, Inter versus City. And, you know, we saw quite a lot of Inter that season with them having that deep Champions League run. What you saw from Onana was legitimate ball-playing ability. You would see him getting on the ball outside of his box, extremely confident, extremely capable. And we just have not seen that at Manchester United. Now, whether that was because Ten Hag went, we can't do this, and Amorim's come in and he's just been like, I've got other shit that I need to focus on. I don't know the answer to that. But we've not seen, you know, we almost got sold something different. We're not seeing him deployed in a role for which we clearly scouted him for, or, you know, certainly the traits that we all saw him be as highly rated as he was. That's the frustration with Onana. Yeah, I don't know that. You know, it's one of those. He seems to have gone backwards in his ball-playing ability. I think his long-range stuff looks bad because you're going to Haaland who just can't win a duel. But yeah, it's frustrating with Onana because I want him to work. I think he's got a good presence about him. He makes clangers. I don't think his clangers are any more obvious clangers than... I mean, you know, look who we've been linked with since. Martinez. You're telling me Emi Martinez hasn't got a clanger in him. The only thing world-class about Emi Martinez is his penalty saving, which you might say, yeah, I'm here for that because that might get you over the line in a cup final, and you might be right. But there's not a lot between Emi Martinez and Onana. They're both big personalities. They both do things that are rash. They both have, like, bananas kind of clangers at times. But both of them have got, like, freakishly similar sort of goalkeeping metrics. You can say that maybe Martinez claims stuff in his area a little bit better, and I would concede that. But there's not a lot between. It's not night and day. It's not like one's world class and one's Sunday League level. They're extremely similar. I mean, look at the fucking clanger that Martinez made at Old Trafford last game of the season. You know what I mean? George says, what's the deal with Diogo Costa? Diogo Costa was one that I saw a while ago and thought, yeah, fucking hell, he could be mega. But then he seems to have either stalled or something has happened with him, I think. Senat says, I've shifted to supporting City now. Oh, well, fuck off then. Simply Red United says, the hips don't lie with Onana. He's too stocky for a goalkeeper. I don't know, like, Peter Schmeichel wasn't a fucking small fella. He were pretty good. Alex says, the highest save percentage when everyone's having a pot from corner flags 40 years out. Everyone knows he'll crumble. Oh. You don't need the context of these. The fact is, it's highest save percentage. It's the highest. Someone's got to have the highest save percentage. If he was terrible, then he wouldn't have the highest save percentage. Melon Bean says, outfield players are suited to certain leagues. Can't it be the same for goalkeepers as well? To a lesser extent, probably, yeah. I mean, certain leagues, maybe there's more crossing, maybe there's more certain types of things going on. Maybe corners are more aggressive and this, that, and the other. I'm not sure. Chris says his parrying is a concern for me. That I would agree on. James says he gets out-muscled in the box and he's no command over his area. Yeah, I would say no command. He's not got as much command as you would expect for the size of the fucker because he's massive. Do we need 3 new goalkeepers? Probably not, to be honest. But yeah, that's my opinions on Onana. I think he's been nothing like... We've not seen the true best of him because we haven't played the way you would expect him to be played. And that's frustrating, I believe. Anyway, here's the report. So United are apparently willing to sell a second player to Saudi Arabia alongside Bruno Fernandes in Andre Onana. Reports have claimed that he is in advanced talks with a newly promoted Saudi pro team called Neom SC. Loads of other outlets are reporting that he is not being lined up for an imminent move, and some saying that these reports have zero substance. So honestly, I don't know what's going on. But despite this, everyone is in agreement that United are actually open to selling him. And even Romano has said that United are willing to entertain offers for him. So that being the case, with all of the other transfers that clearly have to happen, I guess at some point this week I'll be doing a scout report on goalkeepers. Notch says, we've not even had a bid yet for Bruno. Have the two clubs even communicated? Probably not directly, no. But it's... T-Mill says, great save possession. You mean percentage? Doesn't win you trophies. No, but it generally helps. It generally helps. So have United and Al Hilal communicated over Bruno? Obviously, I'm not aware of that. If they have, it's not been reported, I think is the correct thing to say. But I believe Al Hilal probably correctly assume if they get the nod off Bruno and Bruno goes to United and says, they've made me an offer that I can't refuse, United would also allow him to go for whatever price they put on it. And I think they'd be crazy. Think about this, right? United have got the chance to play this relatively well. They've set out this stance. We don't want to sell him. And that's been the stance the entire time. All United have put out there is we don't want to sell Bruno Fernandes. And that's not changed. United won't change that, I don't believe. So what happens now? Well, now what happens is Bruno Fernandes comes to Manchester United and says, they're going to pay me 200 million over 3 years. I got to go. And United go, okay, that's fine. Tell them 150 mil, which is probably a hell of a lot more than they're willing to pay. However, if you're already committing to 300 mil for a transfer fee and the player's salary, is that extra 50 million going to make a massive difference? And from United's point of view, that extra 50 million would go a long way. Now, I'm not saying that you get it, but I'm saying is United don't say yes to 100 million, or at least shouldn't. They might, but they shouldn't. They should absolutely, at least for 24, 48 hours, just completely stonewall them. Bruno goes to them and they say, right, okay, blah, blah, blah. And then the first meeting that you have with Al Hilal, knowing that they think they've got their man, fucking hell, the hardest thing for us to get over the line was Bruno. We've got Bruno. Nice one. Let's go speak to United. Expecting that United's financial situation means that they would have to sell. United have got an ace in their sleeve, knowing that if they say no to selling Bruno, unless you pay 150, no, they'd probably deal at 135, 140, but like you've got to set your stall out. 150. Boom. Pay us 150, you can take him. United are not going to have a player that's going to be difficult. United are not going to have a player that's going to make life difficult next season if he didn't get that move. So there's no dramas. So I think you stick it right on them. They sit down, you go, hi, yeah, thanks for the meeting, blah, blah, blah. Listen, yeah, Bruno's come to us. He says you've made him an offer that he can't refuse. That's fine. As you know, our stance this entire thing, you know, and the fact that you was talking to him without seeking permission for us, by the way, we don't really like, but, you know, 150 million. Take it or leave it. They'll flap, they'll panic, but they might come back and offer you 150 million. They might offer you 145, 140, 135, whatever it is. But it's going to be a significant uplift on the 100 million that you thought you was going to get. With it being that close, with all of the ducks being lined up and the last one, the easy one in their eyes being Manchester United, I think you just stick it on them and you just say, yeah, you're not fucking having him unless you fucking stick it, make it worth our while. We don't want to sell him. He's our club captain. Look how shit our season was. We'd have got relegated if it weren't for him. That's worth that 30 million extra for us. That's how you got to... Ring me. I'll fucking come and tell him. I'll do it for 1%. How's that? All right, 0.5%. I'll do it for 0.5%. What's the jersey behind me? The jersey and the program it's a replica. It's not an original 92 United shirt, and the program is my old man's program from the final, the 1992 FA Youth Cup final, and the shirt has been signed by about half of the lads that played in the final. Kamikaze says, sounds more like he's using his mother as an excuse to justify his actions more than anything. Mohammed says, Bruno already contributes, so please sell him. Chris says, Bruno's by far and away our best player. Without him this year, we'd be in the Championship. If you offer 100 million for any player about to be 31, you'd have to take it. Generally, from a business point of view, I agree. But from a football point of view, I can't make a case to sell Bruno Fernandes. I can't. Sal says Onana has to go. Makes too many basic mistakes. Saves for the gallery and holds on too long with the ball. Now, I do agree he holds on to the ball too long, but the fact that he holds on to the ball too long, I think, is a lack of fucking sensible passing options because he never used to do that. I think at teams when he's had the trust of those around him, he can do that. I also don't know how much of that is orders, you know, because he wasn't as slow as he is now under Ten Hag. So how much of it is he's been asked to slow it down? Because United are a lot slower with the ball, which I think is an Amorim order. We were a lot more vertical under Ten Hag. How much would relegation cost United? Yeah, a lot. Ridwan says, have I watched the overlap breakdown episode on Gyökeres? Not too fussed if we don't get him. He relies on a lot of space. I think he'd struggle to score 17 Premier League goals. Well, that's about 5 times more than we're currently getting out of our number 9, so that's an upgrade, isn't it? Who do I want to replace Onana? Top of my head right now, I don't really have one in mind. Diogo Costa would have to be on that list, I think, but outside of him, I'm not really sure. So that might be one for next week. Terry says, if we keep hold of Bruno, which I hope to do, where do I see his best position? Is it a 10 or an 8? He can't play in a 10. Those inside forwards, they're wingers that operate on the inside. He can't play in that role. He has to play deeper, and that doesn't really suit him either. So I've got a video coming out tomorrow looking at how you replace Bruno Fernandes. I hope it doesn't get torpedoed by some news that he's definitely gone or he's definitely not going. Which is how to replace Bruno. So I've got 3 options, 3 slightly different players, and 3 very realistic. Like one of them's like 15 million, the others are 50, 55 million. I think you'll be surprised at the names that are on that list. In fact, I don't think you'll be able to guess any of the names that are on that list. But I think it's well worth watching. Mohammed says, if we don't get mad if Bruno go to Halal. Good for him. Alex says, good morning. Do I rate James Trafford as a new keeper, shown some bright sparks in the Championship? Not seen enough of him to comment, really. Ruzeb says, tell me your thoughts on bringing Taremi from Inter Milan as a backup forward. Doesn't cost much and have played a big role in Porto and Inter Milan. He's a good striker. Would he come as a backup, though? Have United got... Who's he coming as a backup to? Like, how can you say we're going to get this guy as a backup when we don't even have... a main striker for him to be back up to? And Saragon says, we need a Buffon level keeper. Mate, I'm trying so hard not to be rude to you here. Of course we do. Do you think people are sitting around going, why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we think about getting probably one of the top 5 goalkeepers of all time? What's happening on the Frankie de Jong front? Fuck knows. Tony says, looking forward to the transfer ratings outside Old Trafford soon. Potentially back this week. See how it goes. If Bruno goes for 150 million, which 3 or 4 players would you bring in? You're getting a striker. You've got to get another midfielder that can play in the pivot. Possibly this right winger, of which obviously we've been linked with Mbuemo. And I guess, by the fucking sounds of today's news, a fucking goalkeeper. In terms of the right winger, obviously Mbuemo. Mbuemo has been someone that we've been talking about for about a week or so. Tyler Diblin. I literally just said, I don't know if I said it, I don't know if I said it on the podcast last week or what, but the sort of talk around Tyler Diblin's kind of quietened down a little bit. But according to Tribuna, United have zeroed in on Diblin as the alternative to Mbuemo if you don't manage to bring him in. Wilcox is a big fan of him. He had a bright start last season. He did fade towards the back end of the season as Southampton basically just decided they were getting relegated. There's some talk that he might be available for 40 to 60 million, which is insane because it's a similar price to what Brentford are asking for Mbuemo for an essential rookie that hasn't made an international appearance. According to Romano, he says he's been linked with several clubs every single week. All the top clubs like him, but there's nothing concrete going on. I thought Diblin looked bright, but for someone that's just got 2 goals in the Premier League, you're sitting there asking about 60 million is a little bit nuts, isn't it? He's not great in his duels. He's not amazing at his dribbles. He looks bright. For the money that's being asked for him, I think I'd rather go with someone a bit more guaranteed than Mbuemo. Than Diblin. Like an Mbuemo rather than a Diblin. I like him. I like the look of him. But United probably can't afford another prospect. We've got such a young squad, from Yoro to Dorgu to Ahmad. Just get some proven players in, I think, at some point. Jason says, can we go for Donnarumma as he's only got a year left on his contract? Shoot your shot. I think I know what the answer would be. Do you know what? Yeah, shoot your shot. He might have dreamt of, do you know what? Why am I winning titles here and European Cups with Paris? I could, I think he's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, by the way, so you're not even going to convince him with wages. Why? I've always dreamed of living in Cheshire and scrapping for relegation at United. Fair play. God loves an optimist and all that sort of shit. Oh my God. A lot of people talking about Zion Suzuki. We did a scout report on him. I'm sure it was a year ago, at least a year ago that we did on it. He looks bright, but you've got to see him in a better league. Simple as that. You've got to see him against better opposition. I don't mind looking into these sort of like lesser known leagues. I think that's a real good idea, but I think you've got to see him against better opposition. Yeah. Saragon says Jan Sommer. I think if that's a player that's just been in a Champions League final, the chances of you getting that player over the line to come to United is slim. Unless there's off-field issues going on that maybe we're not quite aware of. Anyways. Right, that's it from me. Like I said, how to replace Bruno video coming out tomorrow, so please stick around for that. I've got a video on Jim Thwaites coming out Wednesday. I will be around to react to anything that breaks. But I'm probably going to be off doing some real cool shit in London Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. And then I'm going to Turkey next week. So, busy. I've got 13 flights I've got booked in over the next 3 months. Come back from Turkey. Paddock have got a match in Dublin next month, which I've still got to organise. So I say we want to have a match in Dublin. We've booked the flights, but we haven't actually booked an opposition to play. We're just going to piss otherwise. Then I got pre-season. Then I'm back in Dublin for the Oasis concert at the back end of August. It's a fucking busy next couple of months. And do you know what? My little girl's competing in Iron Kids. You know, Iron Man, which I've actually committed to do. I'm going to do an Iron Man next year. My daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, is running in Iron Kids on Saturday in Bolton. So that's her first competitive sort of sporting event, which I'm looking forward to, actually, on Saturday. Should be good. Kings Media says midfield, Baleba, Wharton or Edison Kamara. Scott says bad is good when worse comes along. Be careful what you ask for. Jockey says best of luck to her. So does Sienna. Adam says you're playing too much Footy Manager. We're not getting any of those players. Murray says saw Metallica and Pantera Saturday if you get a chance to see them do it. Metallica must be... I like Metallica for when I'm working out only. I don't listen to Metallica recreationally, but I do listen to them when I'm working out because I like to just be fucking aggressive when I'm working out. But I do believe Metallica is an experience. Didn't they play to like 1 million people in Moscow when the Berlin Wall came down at the end of the Cold War? Any news on the Osimhen and Rasmus trade? No. Like I said, I'll fucking start the car if you want me to go and get that one over the line. Stu says Iron Maiden were great live. Would De Gea come back now? Doubt it. Kamikaze says, Steve, big thank you for continuing to make high quality content despite our garbage season. I wouldn't have been able to hold on like you have. Oh, it's been some fucking rough moments. It's so much better doing this when we're good. Hopefully this is the rock bottom that we've reached and it gets better from here. Who the fuck knows, eh? Right, cheers everyone for tuning in. Do I think Maitinu will stay? I actually don't. I actually think he's going to be one of the sellable assets. Him and Garnacho, pure profit, FC in the bank. Watch this space. Cheers for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow with that Bruno vid. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.